to the team that has been led here to respond on all the issues. The committee took a decision that we must have a special meeting to adopt all the reports, given that today we are going to receive a briefing response by these two institutions, and members were not able to engage on the report that is not consolidated, particularly on the area of the independent government printing works and the ICT issues. That was a decision that the committee has taken. So it will mean, therefore, on the item number 5, it will be government printing works and the Department of Home Affairs. Therefore, we'll get guidance from members on how we must proceed. Adoption of the report will only need an hour to deal with that, so that we give Mr. Salmon to consolidate the issues that will arise from this meeting. Can we move to the second item?
Yes, Chairperson, from my side, I've got an apology from Reverend Mishwe and the late arrival of Ms. Matopa. That's all from my side, Chair.
Thank you, Minister.
Good morning, Chair and colleagues. My apologies. I just want to indicate a request for early departure for myself at 10 as well. I've got another engagement. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Minister. All apologies have been noted. Now can we move, members? I'm inviting you to raise hands on the issues that have been raised by the government printing works and also the ICT issues that we have requested the team to prepare before the portfolio committee. Can I recognize hands on those issues? The first one, which I think when members are considering to raise hands, is on I think we must appreciate the work that has been done in relation to the ICT presentation to expose us to the challenges that the department have been facing for over a period, and those that you have managed to deal with, and those that are in progress of engagement. I have noted that some of the issues in relation to the network connectivity lies with the SETA that takes back for some years in terms of consolidating the work between SETA and the Department of Home Affairs, and therefore which impact negatively to the work of the department. The first question which I wanted to get a sense is to what extent are you budget allocation to the services that you have apportioned to SETA to facilitate for service providers, and the penalties that you have occasioned to each of those that SETA have facilitated with the department, which could not render services and which negatively have impacted the organization. And the work that the CSIR has already recommended in relation to the overall system of ICT at Department of Home Affairs. What are the immediate action that you have consolidated? I'm fully aware that there's a process of regulations that has been grounded, and because this is a long-standing challenge for the Department of Home Affairs, what are the mitigating factors which are immediate? There's a very scaring line which the presentation has highlighted in terms of a long contractual involvement between SETA and the Department of Home Affairs, which has not been implemented for some time. I think it's dating back to the year 2022, which you have highlighted on the response to date. And there's no demonstration of actions or penalties that have been dealt with. The other one, in terms of is still with the ICT. Our infrastructure, the current infrastructure in terms of the IT tools that your staff are using throughout the um, offices. I can, with authority, have been exposed to Umtata offices infrastructure there, computers, basic issues. What is the turnaround time? I'm sure there may be other offices throughout the country that are struggling with such tools of trace to respond to the services of our people. I think what are the immediate issues and the budget allocations around that? You said something about the kiosks, Leon, in terms of integration to the new system. What are the tentative time frame and also the distribution pattern given the rural and the urban area? I'm sure you have many offices that those kiosks are not can't accommodate all offices. What is the distribution pattern, both in terms of the rural and the urban area? On the issue of the government printing works, you have noted an improve in relation to your finance turnaround. And I think you're also confidently indicating that in the next 5 years, you'll move to digital transformation. And because you're a labor-intensive institution, what are the mechanisms that will make sure that you keep the same workforce, as you know that the country were grappling of creating more jobs, but the ones that you are maintaining, what are the mechanism or the structural systems that are going to be in place in order to meet the demand of the new transition into digital transformation, given the workforce on the ground that we're raising? The other one, Minister, is on the, you recall that we've taken a decision that you ought to consider to appoint or to look on how you are going to extend the term of your current multidisciplinary institution into government printing works. If there's any progress around that a decision, particularly on the governance of that institution, because that still remain our concerns in terms of making sure that we stabilize that institution, both at the level of the governance, but also at the level of the executive authority. And also there was a point that you ought to appoint an advisory team or committee, advisory council or a board that should oversee the work of government printing works. What is the status around that? Members can now invite you to comment on the issues. I see, can I invite hands? I see Honorable Ross. Proceed, Honorable Ross.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, if I may just ground my video, I'm also in the village. The signal's not that good. So, Chair, it's a bit strange to ask questions straight away, but yes, thank you for this opportunity, and thank you for the presentations from the GPW, and in terms of the ICT challenges. I think first of all, to welcome the spectacular improvement in irregular, fruitless, and wasteful expenditure in the last year. I think it's something that we raised very early on in this term, is the challenge that the audit report was showing in terms of irregular, fruitless expenditure from previous terms and the long time it was taking to deal with these. And the dramatic improvement is very much welcomed. I think, Chair, also to welcome the fact that the professional services budget line items seem to be under control again. There was a stage where the professional services was bloating in terms of the government printing works and the reliance on external consultants. And it appears that in this midterm budget, that is now being brought back into line with what you would have expected before. So that is welcome. And then as well as the dispatch. I think, Chair, this has always been a problem with passports being printed and produced, and then there being sometimes a gap between the service provider then fetching the passport and delivering it, that could run into a couple of days. And then the department would be held accountable for that. So the change of the dispatch to be more something run by the GPW is also very welcome. Chair, I think the first thing I'd really like to talk about is the 7-year plan. And we've spoken about it before, Chair, the need to ring fence this revenue that comes in, because it appears that there's been 1.795 billion that has been surrendered to Treasury by the GPW. And there's a lot of capital expenditure needed. For example, there was the project to expand the buildings, and now there's a very important digitization project at the GPW. And if we look at the next 3 years, we're talking about net profit of 38 million, 80 million, and 127 million, Chair. And I really think we need to push as a committee for GPW's net profits to be reinvested in the entity, because even that 238 million of proposed net profit is not very much, Chair. Then I noticed with interest the ongoing engagements with the SADC region from a business development point of view. And if you look at the African Continental Free Trade Agreement, it says to function seamlessly, member states will need to interoperate biometric systems, and especially fingerprints for migration, trade permits, and law enforcement. So if we look at the East African trade region, once they were able to create the trade region, the annual trade increased by 13%, and it was estimated that 2 million jobs were created in this process. So my question for GPW is, you were looking at business development in terms of the production of cards. You were even looking at a polycarbonate manufacturing facility here. Will this engagement from a business development point of view also take into account the need to have interoperable biometric systems and the kind of systems that are part of the plan of the GPW? Will it include the SADC region? Are there any talks in the sort of business development ventures in that regard to try and ensure that we facilitate this free trade area in our region to get the economic benefits, but also, in terms of migration, trade permits? Chair, one of the big problems is that you will find a undocumented foreign national, and then if there's no document, you will not be able to do you will not have the information that you need. Law enforcement officials don't have it. And so it would be tremendously valuable for there to be a broader biometric system. So I think the department gets my question. Is there engagements with other SADC countries to have these kind of services that GPW wants to offer in their countries as well? Then, Chair, from a CETA point of view, I think we all grappled with CETA a lot in the last term. We had a couple of very heated meetings in 2019. But what we found by 2025, and I'd asked a parliamentary question right at the end of the term, that there were about 41,691 working hours lost from downtime. And this is not load shedding. So load shedding was about 9,322 working hours. So 4 times more downtime than just from load shedding was caused by system downtime, Chair. And I think this is a massive amount, and we can't deal with incremental changes. I think, in terms of saying let's increase expenditure by a small percentage every year, etc. And we need dramatic changes. We need a dramatic correction to this, Chair, because we've dealt with the cost to the poor, the number of poor persons that need to pay for a taxi, go stand in a queue, and then hear that the system is downline. And so my question for the department is, what are some of the more dramatic measures that are being put in place? Apart from what we've seen, I think there's been things like what the CSI are shown and sort of a general improvement in bandwidth, etc. But what are some of the more dramatic and radical changes that are going to reduce the number of working hours? And then, Chair, finally, to to welcome the regulations. I think it helps the department a lot, and it's a fair balance. That CETA has the first right of refusal to offer services, and then if they're not able to do so, then departments are able to implement. So I think that's something that we can welcome, Chair. But in summary, Chair, I believe we as a committee, we really need to look at the ring fencing of the GPW budget to assist with the modernization process, and then also need to really understand how we can dramatically accelerate this digitization to reduce that huge number of working hours that's been lost. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Is there any other comments, members? Okay, let me invite the Government Printing Works. Then I will invite the Home Affairs CEO.
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable members, Honorable Minister, DM, colleagues, DG. Let me appreciate the questions that have been asked as well as the comments. We take this in a very positive light, and we fully understand that it is intended to actually help improve on the operations within GPW, as well as to enable us to move towards the digitization projects that we have planned to do. Chair, allow me to allocate some of the questions to the members of EXCO that are joined to the platform. All EXCO members are in attendance. The question from Honorable Roos, I'm going to request that, particularly on the net profit margin as well as the capex issues, the CFO will actually take that. And from a business development point of view, Mr. Ngubane will take those questions, as well as the ring fencing of the revenue, so that we can reinvest it in GPW. We also welcome the appointment of the team from Home Affairs, the expansion of the scope so that they can be able to assist GPW, particularly in this era where our role is actually moving into the digital space, having printed since 1888 to date, and we believe that we're up to the task and we will be able to digitize most of our internal operations and be enabled to deliver digital products to our customers. The question from the chairperson on the staffing. As we move, let me rather take that first. As we move into the digital space, we are fully cognizant of the fact that your people are your most important assets. And much as you can digitize, technology will never replace a person. You can come up with all the systems, but there's a human being that needs to be in place to be able to operate machines, to be able to interact with those machines and make us deliver on the products that we desire to produce. And therefore, we have a plan in place to train and retrain or upskill and reskill some of our officials, but also engage in job rotation to make sure that we multi-skill our officials to be able to deliver on the mandate. We also are attracting more requisite skills from the public through the recruitment plan, and we've already advertised a number of posts to be able to beef up capacity so that not only do we focus on skilling internally, we bring in more digital skills artisans to help us to move into printing of digital products. And that will also assist us to a second shift, which we have been talking about. The more the capacity we have, the more we'll be able to then run 2 shifts as a manufacturing entity to be able to operate day and night. And that will help us to increase the demand. We have revised our ICT strategy to have an internal and external focus, and that will enable us to move to a strategy that allows us to have people and technology coexist. So nobody's going to lose their jobs because everybody's going to be trained in line with their trade and be able to be utilized appropriately where it's suitable within the organization. Therefore, to meet the new demands of digital transformation, we are going to focus on the people, invest heavily in that so that people are ready and they are agile enough to be able to deliver on the products that we intend to achieve. On the dispatch service being taken over by GPW, it is indeed engagements that have happened over the past couple of years. And we have been saying the dispatch service is part of the value chain in government printing works. And therefore, we need to ensure that there's a seamless transition where we are able to carry that function internally as part of the end-to-end printing of our products to the customers. Let me hand over to Chair through you, the CFO, and then Mr. Ngubane will talk about the issue of SADC engagements that has been raised on the platform as well. Chair, thank you so much. Through you.
Thank you, CFO.
Thank you, Chair. So just briefly, so correctly, so we've to a large extent arrested our regular expenditure, and we hope to keep it like that. The main issue for us was to do a condonement exercise, which we have done, or let me say a determination exercise, which we have done quite successfully. And we have arrested the contracts that gave rise to the irregular. Admittedly, there is a few still that we need to deal with in the current financial year, but year on year there has been improvement in terms of irregular expenditure. In terms of our ring fencing of budget, it's something that's close to us at the moment. We are looking at requesting a 3 exemption on that point from National Treasury to allow us to retain all our surpluses. Obviously, what we've given you was budgeted numbers, but we'd look to increase that over the 3-year period, and also, lately within the Home Affairs family, we also need to see where we can assist this family with any of our own retention of funds. But that definitely is a priority for us, is to retain that. And I think importantly, one of the reasons for having to retain it is that we are gaining momentum with our recapitalization program. We've got the new ERP system on the radar screen now, and we've made some strides on that. And also looking at, as CEO said, our compensation, and in particular the shift system that we envisage. So all of that we need to secure over the next 3 years, and we are working hard on that plan. And obviously, then any support from the structure would be appreciated. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. I will, the DG, before I invite the ministry, you'll delegate. Oh, sorry, Ngubane. Sorry, Mr. Ngubane. You can proceed.
Thank you, Chairperson. So in terms of the SADC engagements, what we've been able to do thus far is to penetrate the market on products such as the certificates. We have not been successful as yet when it comes to identity documents, and in that case, I'm referring to passports and IDs. But we are making efforts in that space, and I think the question that has been asked is quite relevant, because we're seeing that not only is it a case of just being able to produce them for these countries, but also produce them in the manner that is kind of gaining momentum, or is a trend these days, and also just provide the digital tokens. But we have not entered in that space. We've engaged with Kenya, Ethiopia, we've engaged with DRC, we've engaged with Mozambique, we've engaged Lesotho. Maybe perhaps bring it down to SADC now. Lesotho, Eswatini, and Namibia. I think quite soon we might make some progress in terms of being able to make the identity documents for perhaps Eswatini and Namibia. We're actually getting closer in terms of those engagements, and probably in a year or so, we might just get answers that are leading us somewhere. So positive. But we're going to have to obviously consider the digital tokens that come with that, and get into a space of not only the physical documents, but also the digital ones. I will stop at that, Chairperson. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngobane. CEO, is there anything before I invite the DG?
Chair, I believe we've taken all the questions. Thank you very much.
DG?
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, Minister and DM and honorable members that are online and the colleagues from GPW, the CEO and management. Chair, I think with regards to our questions, I think the acting CIO will deal with some of the issues related to the SITA delays, which I will also speak to, and then also the CSIR recommendations, in particular with regards to the question that you have raised on the aging infrastructure. And then for sure, Mr. Mavuso will deal with the kiosk in terms of the rollout, and the CIO will deal with the integration, which we are trying to do internally. And then I think from Honorable Ross, it was issues related to system downtime, which I think the CIO will be able to deal with. So maybe let's start with the one that you have raised, Chair, with regards to the recommendations that were made by the CSIR. You will recall that there were really 5 issues that were part of this project. And one of them was really to look at how the CSIR can assist us in the 6 areas that had been identified. The first one being, of course, the architecture of the IT systems at Home Affairs, and then, of course, cyber security, and then issues related to applications and infrastructure, and then network, and then people and governance. In all these areas, Chair, in the 6 areas we have made progress, which the CIO will speak to. There are areas where we've not been able to move at a faster pace, particularly on the infrastructure. And partly, you asked a question in relation to SITA, and you quoted from the presentation an area of procurement that has been delayed for substantial time through the SITA procurement, which relates to routers and switches, and of course the LAN cabling. And in the response letter that you will recall that in the presentation, the CIO indicated that we gave them a tasking letter in 2022. We have now received a letter from SITA on the 4th of June 2025 that is giving us a progress on the 2 transactions. On the routers and switches, well, SITA is indicating that the matter is currently with their board for consideration and approval. And amongst others, they say the delays were with regards to the change in the leadership of at SITA. So you will note the delays that are related to this. We've actually asked for timelines on all these projects, and they indicated that they hope that they'll conclude. This is the procurement process by the 11th of June, which means the implementation part will therefore take another time. And then on the LAN cabling, this bid again also delayed, also requested in the same year. Unfortunately, with regards to this, which is critical for our infrastructure on the local area network cabling, SITA has indicated in their letter that they are apologizing for the delays. However, they will be cancelling this transaction because they could not find a suitable bidder to carry out this work. So these are some of the challenges, and I suppose we might want to look at the regulations, to look at the opportunities that might be there for us to really address some of these issues. And then with regards to another recommendation made by the CSIR on people, you'll recall that around 2022, I think we're before the portfolio committee, where we also indicated that we are also seeking assistance from a number of banks. And then in March 2022, we had written to all the banks to look at them offering us support in some of these areas. Some of them have responded and they are working with us now, particularly by bringing some of their expertise to assist us. And this then deals with the issue around the system downtime. Honorable Roos, I think the minister from today, you will have noted the Gazette on the verifications. And through that process, we've also been able to pick up opportunistic companies that were utilizing the system to verify without coming through the proper processes. Now, this process that the minister has started will enable us now to look at those that are really legitimate, those that have contractual obligations with us to do the verifications, and then we'll then be able to bill them for the verification. What we also picked up was that around the elections, which is when we really experienced huge system downtime, there were companies, including some government entities, that were conducting verifications up to about 17,000 per minute. Now, with the new process that the minister has outlined in the Gazette, that's no longer possible, Chair. They can either do that at night at R1, or those that will be doing it during the day will then have to pay that R10 fee. So let me then maybe request at this time DDG Mavuso to then respond to the issue around the rollout, and then the acting CIO can then deal with the other issues related to ICT. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, DDG Mavuso.
No, thank you very much, Chairperson. So, Chair, I guess just on the issue of the kiosk, as we have previously, I think, indicated that the mobile virtual service machine kiosk is one of the innovative distribution channel that the department had conceptualized as part of the footprint expansion in order to increase access to DHA services, particularly to areas that are non-modernized. So those are the ones that we are prioritizing. I think at this point, Chair, we should by now have already distributed some of these machines, as we have previously indicated that the finalization of the integration was one of the challenges that we have had. The last 2 weeks, we've had an engagement with our ExCo, so the decision around fast-tracking the integration, IT is busy with it now. So once that is done, so we're currently identifying non-modernized offices that are going to be first in the line, so that we can be able to ensure that those are the priority areas that we're going to be focusing on. So that list of we're intending to do about in the second quarter, was if that integration is done, about 66 of those, and then the next quarter will then continue as such. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, CIO.
Good morning, Honourable Chair, and good morning, Honourable Members, Minister, DMDG, and other colleagues on the platform. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to try and just fill the gaps. I think the DG provided quite holistic feedback, and also Mr. Mavuso on the kiosks. To the point that you raised, Honourable Musa, the SITA allocation per annum is in the vicinity of about 250 million, and those are contracted services directly to SITA. It excludes the mandatory services like BAS and PERSOL. Although from a procurement perspective, that bill tallies up to about 850 million of what we have procured through SITA. From a penalties perspective, we've affected penalties in the areas of network connectivity links, bearing in mind that those penalties are determined on the basis of the service being monitored and reported on between 8 and 4 every day. So it's not ideal. Ideally, we would like to look at a 24/7 availability service. And I think that links into the point that you had raised earlier also, Chair, that talks to the contracted services between DHA and SITA and the implementation thereof. I'm gathering that you're referring to the upgrade from to a gold service. Now, I think that has obviously been debated quite heavily also looking at the value add that we expect to then achieve from SITA at the price that we are going to pay. And I think it is just not affordable to enter into such an SLA. That's the first thing. The second is that the expected value, based on the fact that it's shared infrastructure, we're not going to be hosted on separate infrastructure that are gold rated. We do not expect that value that will create the stability that we seek. We would rather look at alternative means of creating more stable infrastructure, and that then leads into the point that the DG had made. So also latching on to the point made by Honourable Ruiz, or the question asked, what are the critical or dramatic measures and most impactful changes that we are focusing on now? Certainly in the space of creating redundancy. I think over time we've created infrastructure and systems that are not fully redundant. That's our main priority. Linked to that main priority is to create redundancy and upgrade our connectivity to the offices. And in doing so, it creates the opportunity for us to totally modernize, in other words, implement Service Manager Web, which does not require distributed infrastructure. So at the moment, we have at majority of the offices, we've got distributed infrastructure servers, which we also need to maintain both from a human resource perspective as well as upkeep, security patches and refresh cycles, etc. And that is a huge cost to the department. So if we upgrade the links, we're able to remove that layer of infrastructure. What that also means is at the time of applications, the information will be readily available in our centralized or back-end ecosystem, and you will not find a delay in where applicants apply at office and maybe they will be looking for their application once they get back to their office and they won't be able to see it because it's not available yet, and it's queuing at a particular point in time, also adding to some of the delays to synchronize some of the transactions. So that is certainly a critical priority for us. The end-to-end observability, in other words, monitoring from queue up, from where somebody queues at the office up to the point where it then transacts, or that transaction flows to our back-end system. That is a critical priority. The CSR had implemented an infrastructure and application monitoring tool, although it's not end-to-end, but it still provides some capability of availability of infrastructure, which the team is currently using. So the end-to-end observability is quite key for us, both from a business perspective, to monitoring where there are constraints and bottlenecks occurring, and obviously with the upgrading of infrastructure and addressing the redundancy components, we will be in a position to then create that stability that is then required. But I think at the same time, we've also noted that the cost structure that we currently have and the manner in which we've expanded is not sustainable. So what we've also looked at over the last year is to renegotiate some of our contracts, some of those big ticket items that is been plaguing the department from a cost perspective, and we're also considering how we will implement that then going forward in the whole government approach, and particularly in our identity management environment, where the digital identity as well as the PKI infrastructure and digital wallet space is in. In addition to that, I think the DG also highlighted the whole issue of data verification services, to also then address one of the recommendations made by the CSR to create the stability on NPR, not to have entities directly verifying against NPR, but against an offline or off-production instance. In other words, if there's any potential increase in demand, that it will not impact our ability to transact on NPR or process temporary ID card, the printing of temporary ID cards, etc. And we've progressed quite significantly in that space, up to the point where we're now in the process of onboarding entities to the new interface, and all of the responses there has been sub-second. We've also then created redundancy between our two identity platforms, being that of ABIS and HANAS, to also ensure that we increase the availability of any verification processes. Let me just see. I think let me conclude there, Chair. I think we have then, from my end, I've tried to cover the gaps. Let me hand back to you, Chair, if there's any follow-up questions. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, CIO. Any other follow up? DM?
No, thank you, Chair. I think the answers have been sufficiently covered. Thank you.
Thank you. Minister?
Thank you very much, Chair, and good morning again to the DM, officials from Home Affairs, Government Printing Works, and honourable members. Chair, if I may just address your question, I think there was the issue of GPW and the appointments on really looking into those governance issues and issues around culture, but also then the repositioning of the entity in an increasingly digital context. Let me just indicate first, Chair, that we are in the process of appointing. So I just want to make it clear that it's not quite final yet, but I am happy to share with the committee Dr. Cassius Lubisi to lead that process for us, someone who is very familiar with the ecosystem and has done really invaluable work at the Home Affairs level. To now take that helicopter view for us of government printing works, given what he knows of the direction that we're going with Home Affairs, and how the best repositioning can be done for government printing work. So that will be, I think, a really valuable resource for GPW in terms of the final constitution of the team, etc. That is still in progress. As I say, it's not quite complete, but in principle, Dr. Lubisi is willing to assist. So we will be finalizing that element in response to the discussion we had in this committee a few months ago, Chair. So I just want to thank all the colleagues again for their support on this front. Chair, I then gave a very serious thought to the issue of the advisory board at GPW. However, given that we are now bringing in Dr. Lubisi and a team to really zoom in on these big ticket questions, my sense was that we should allow that work to proceed and conclude and come up with a roadmap really for GPW into this digital future, and that at that point we can appoint a more permanent advisory board. I did not want to have a duplication going on there. I did not want to spend money that if we didn't have to do it right now, since we've got Dr. Lubisi to come and do this in a more sort of immediate fashion. And I think the understanding is then that the advisory board will then come in once that work is complete, because that is a more long-term structure to support the entity. So, Chair, that's where we are on that space. I think it's really exciting times for GPW, and I think they have really seized the challenge that is before them. I think if you look at these presentations as well, we're really starting to move in a very exciting new direction. So I just wanted to add my answer on that. I think that was the only outstanding question. Thank you very much, Chair and colleagues.
No, thanks very much, Minister. I think we fully welcome the intervention of Dr. Lubisi, as he has done substantial work at your institution, Home Affairs, and I think it will serve well at the Department of, or there by the government printing works. And I think we fully support that move to bring him on board. It's well understood in terms of posting in relation to the appointment of the advisory team to allow space for clear recommendation from the team that is led by Dr. Lubisi, who has led at the time that was requested to deal with the team that is currently implementing the recommendation in relation to the corrupt activities within and outside Department of Home Affairs, the permitting site. Members, is there any other matter? Okay, thanks. We'll take note that all the recommendations that we've been raising by the members of the committee in relation to the following up on the issues relating to ICT and SETA within the constraint of the budget allocated to Home Affairs, we ought to follow and work closely to monitor the recommendation of the CSIR, including the work that both DDG Mavuso and Mr. Leon Bress have raised around the issues relating to implementation of some of the consideration that has been made on how you have engaged with SETA. And also the issues that are relating to the modernization of the government printing works. Want to thank Minister, your team, and the DG, and also the team that has been led at the collective team of government printing works for the work that has been presented to the committee, and other issues that I think the members of the committee will then deliberate to make clear recommendation, which both the minister and deputy minister may need to consider. We must also note that the minister and deputy minister that at least most of the recommendation that the committee has put forward, you have made sure that you continue to consider them, but also with the reasons if they can be considered. But all of us were firm that we need to have a groundwork where there are weaknesses. We're going to raise them. All the issues that have been presented, the IEC, Border Management Authority, Government Printing Works, Home Affairs, on your two units, civic and immigration, including Lindela, and also the matters relating to your SETA and the work that they're doing. We're going to closely monitor them within the revised budget framework that your service unit have been allocated. I want to thank you, all of you, and we'll then take this opportunity to release the minister and your team, and also the government printing works and your team. I think the next item will require members of the portfolio committee. Thank you very much. Mr. Matonse?
Actually, Chairperson, it's me. It's Adam. I've screened the draft budget vote report. Can I proceed?
Yeah, let me get firstly that we've now got a response from both Home Affairs, ICT, and the government printing works. There was a decision that we may need to have a meeting to adopt the reports, the entire reports. I'm sure you're going to present a draft, and therefore we'll then identify a date for members to go through this entire report, because you know that on the 8th of June, we are deliberating or it's a budget vote for the department. Can you proceed? Then members will comment after that. Mr. Simon?
Thank you, Chairperson. Yes, to indicate that this report summarizes the submissions made by the Department of Home Affairs and the entities up until the GPW presentation, but doesn't quite capture what the members have contributed now. So I'll revise that and have it done by this afternoon. I just need an hour or two to capture what the members have said into recommendations. It shouldn't take long. In fact, yeah, an hour should be sufficient. But for now, I've captured the recommendations. Just to indicate, we have a standard format for the budget vote reports that includes an outline of the situation at Home Affairs, their main targets, their legislative reforms, and the changes in their budget allocations. So it's a summary of the main items raised in the last 2 weeks for the DHA, then for the Electoral Commission. I'm not going to go into these in detail. The members were in those meetings. It's just an attempt to capture the highlights of those presentations and on the budget and the strategic and annual plans. We then, so we do that for all the entities, including for GPW, because we had the presentation. And then based on the discussions of that were made in the last two meetings and now later the ones from today, we have a series of recommendations emerging from the discussions and answers in those meetings. So I'm going to skip straight to section 6. And what we've done here is capture the recommendations made in those meetings, as well as the outstanding recommendations from the previous budget vote report that are still relevant. So we can include or exclude any of those. I did attempt to go back and see what had been implemented, and a large part had, actually. I'd say for Home Affairs, for instance, at least 2/3 of the recommendations we made were put into force. And so these are just the outstanding recommendations that are related to the budget. And again, the focus is more on the budget-related items. I haven't captured as much the CETA presentation that was also part of the same meeting, because so we can add more of the CETA elements if we wish, but because they're part of more general budget recommendations, I didn't go into the specifics of that CETA meeting, which will form its own recommendations as part of our minutes. So just starting with the Department of Home Affairs, we have the funding for the ambitious digital transformation. That senior leadership should ensure that the ambitious and digital transformation targets, including digital ID, e-passports, and electronic travel authorizations, are sufficiently sorted by the allocated budgets for goods and services. Secondly, that the digitization project funding, which is related to the first point, there was a lack of additional funding for this project. And that while 500 million was reprioritized, senior leadership needs to assess if this internal reallocation is sustainable and sufficient for the large-scale project of digitizing over 340 million paper-based civic records, which serves as the backbone for e-government and digital services. The rollout of services to 100 bank branches. The details of the planned funding regarding the specific banks involved and the timeframes for the rollout of DHA services at these branches must be made public. The initial plans are to roll out live capture functionality for smart IDs and passports to 100 banks in 2025, with a long-term target of 1,000 bank branches. But the more specific details will allow for public input on where the priority areas are, and also make a better argument for increased funding for this rollout. 6.4 there, procurement allocation for disadvantaged groups. The DHA needs to ensure more substantial than the required proportion of its procurement budget is directed towards women-owned business and other disadvantaged groups. Was one of the inputs. Increasing smart ID card issuance. The annual target for smart ID card issuance should be increased from 2.5 million to 3 million, with corresponding adjustments in budget allocations. This is crucial for citizen empowerment and aligns with the vision of the digitally transformed Home Affairs. Gaps in the visa and permitting processing relating to the deliberation report, just recently referred to. The gaps identified by the report concerning the processing of visas and permits must be addressed, although there are ongoing special investigation unit investigations and discussions with the UNHI for asylum seeker backlog funding. A direct plan or timeline for closing all identified gaps, increasing capacity, including budgetary implications, is needed. And outstanding questions from 2024 were the audit performance and internal controls, that the DHA must still strive towards achieving a clean audit opinion and better adhere to in-year auditing plans. And the progress on the audit plans and the Auditor General management letter should be consistently reported on in all future quarterly performance reports to the committee. This, in part, I must indicate, was also the fault of the committee, that we've been really busy with our legislative schedule, and so some of the recommendations we made relating to budget and audits and this have not been included. So this is also something, a reminder for us to follow up on some of these issues in our meetings. Visa and permit backlogs and capacity. The DHM must clear the backlog on the processing of visas and permits to prevent future concessions. This relating to the point above on the Libisi report, but still outstanding. Birth registration rollout tracking. Annual targets for live capture of birth registration at health facilities should clearly indicate the current progress and the total outstanding facilities, along with targets for the year to show relative progress. So this wasn't clearly stated in the plans, and is something we can still keep an eye on. Staffing and the ZEP. The DHS should finalize the appointment of senior officials at the Tswane Refugee Reception Center and provide a comprehensive plan and strategy for Zimbabwean exemption permit. As members will know, there's still an ongoing court process, which has postponed the finalization of this ZEP until December, I think. The Electoral Commission recommendations I have is for this year was voter registration application functionality. They must ensure that the application is working effectively, addressing the challenges experienced during the 2024 registration period. The headquarters lease and relocation. The plans to move the new premises should be specified along with relevant budget allocations to prevent any further negative audit findings. Reduced funding for outreach. The committee expressed concern over the reduction in funding for the outreach program from 380 to 158 million, and that indicated that this is important even in non-election years, as its reduced funding needs to be reviewed to ensure continued citizen engagement and democracy education, particularly in the context of lower voter participation. The outstanding questions question from the previous year was the commissioner vacancies that they need to be expedited. We have received information that the final list from the Chief Justice is going to be being referred to Parliament. So this will actually work for us just to make sure that that process is expedited and we don't impede the work of the IEC through any delays. Then going on to the Border Management Authority, for 2025, there's obviously the main issue is the lack of funding, and there needed to be specific feedback from National Treasury as to why only a fraction of the funding needed for the BMA was provided. And the BMA's business case needed for funding was not approved, leading to no additional funding for 2025, which remains a significant risk for the entity's mandate. This impacts plans to invest in technology and capacitate the BMA to cover vulnerable areas of the ports of entry. Outstanding questions or recommendations from the 2024 budget vote report was, again, a similar issue. Detailed report is required on National Treasury funding regarding including indications of how the BMA is fulfilling its mandate to be more efficient than previously fragmented departments performing the border functions. So this was not captured this year, but the increasing funding for the BMA also needs to be balanced against the promise of the BMA being more efficient than the separate departments it replaced in the border environment. Network capacity and collaboration between the BMA and SARS to ensure proper rollout of network capacity capable of handling new border management control systems should proceed with haste to improve border security. For the government printing works, the 2025, I just captured like issues that might have been raised. These haven't all been, other than the first point on digital transformation and interdepartmental collaboration. But the outstanding issues, so this will be revised based on today's meeting's input. And then the outstanding issues were several. And these include the State Security Printers Bill, which also relates to the ring fencing, not only of finances, but also of government printing within the department, within the government printing works, to ensure that their profit margins improve and that we improve efficiency within the public service. The ministerial review panel recommendations: the minister should ensure that the full implementation of the panel on data loss incidents. They've indicated that they're 90% done with this, but there's still a 10% that needs to be implemented. Infrastructure and equipment, also relating to, again, the ring fencing of money for both infrastructure, but and of buildings, but also equipment. Human resource and capacity, a special dispensation should be granted for better pay to artisans. If they're going to also be procuring additional digital capacity or digital skills, then this special dispensation is also something that needs to be pursued once again or continually until it's given. Financial management and debtors, provide a list of debtors, especially government departments, and indicate the efforts of hiring debt collection firm to address outstanding audit findings related to information technology. And rebate on DHA documents. Negotiations addressing the unsustainability of the rebate on documents printed by the DHA should be concluded as a matter of urgency. So this was partially addressed as the fees for documents prices are going up. But they still don't, as far as I understand, meet the full costs that GPW is experiencing. So there's still work to be done on that. And then I was just capturing here the questions and answers today, which I will then revise into recommendations relating to infrastructure, the regional trade, and CETA and the CETA recommendations. So this is what I have so far, Chair. I'll revert back to you on how we proceed. Thanks. Chair, are you there? Can I be heard?
Hey, Adam, I just discovered it's not in the meeting, so the system might have kicked him out. Yes. Ms. Modisa, if you can take over.
Can you hear me, members?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, I think then I can take hands for comments on the presentation that has been made.
Deputy Chair, I can't find my finger thing, Zoom finger to raise or hand to raise. If I may register my wishes.
Okay, I can't recognize you because even your gadget is just repeated.
It's in Ngobeni.
Okay, you'll be first, Ms. Ngobeni, then Mr. Mohali, and then Mr. Ngubane. In that order, I only see those three hands. You can continue, Ms. Ngubeni.
Thank you,
I
Chair.
see also.
Thank you, Chair. Sorry, I've got a new gadget. I'm not sure how to use it yet. Thank you very much, and good morning to all of the colleagues. And I'm sorry that I jumped in, Chair, but I do have another engagement where I have to speak. But I just wanted to just to say that we note the report, and we are pleased with the work that has been done, particularly by the committee, to try and streamline what is happening in the department. I just wanted to make a few points of emphasis and highlights so that I think when the final report is written, we can, as a committee, just capture the essence, the spirit, and embolden our statements around a couple of things. The first one is this issue of digitization of the backbone of Home Affairs. This at Home Affairs, the digital ID and the remote biometrics online services. We absolutely, in our state, support this vision, but we must be clear, Chair, that the digital department with no ring-fence funding really is a mirage. The 5 million reshuffled internally for digitization is nowhere near enough at all to convert this more than 300 million paper records, and Treasury needs to be aware of this and be made. It must be clear to them that proper funding for e-government is more than essential. You've seen the issues with our people really struggling to get their smart IDs. Secondly, the rollout of the smart IDs is so painfully slow, Chair. I'm not sure what is going to happen, but I believe that we are really sitting on a powder keg if in fact we are unable to fast track these processes, particularly for the citizens of South Africa. And we believe that we must target this, the increase in the issuance of smart IDs for the people of South Africa, and that the rollout to bank branches must become more transparent. We see that there's a lot of people who are not really aware that they can, undertake these processes through their banks. And I'm not sure whether, we can actually roll out at more bank branches than what we currently have. Chairperson, the department's visa and permit backlogs. We are worried about our security and our national security, Chairperson. The gaps that have been flagged in the Lubisi report honestly must be closed, because there's no more shifting of files. We really cannot afford any more reasoning around this issue. The capacity of the SIU findings must be finalized, and we must act on these things. And we want to restore public trust in our government and in our processes as politicians. But we really have to make these points of emphasis. Chair, we are very worried about the BMA. This 1 year plus baby is forever underfunded. I'm not too sure how it is we expect that the BMA will have the ability to put proper boots on the ground, undertake all of this modern surveillance, and then clear the interagency trust, Chair. We're not sure how this is going to happen. And of course, we are all in support of the establishment of the BMA. But, you can't have a white elephant that is supposed to be so responsible for one of the most critical areas of what government must deliver, and that is security for the people of South Africa and the integrity of our borders. We really, really, really need to zone in on this, and this really has got to be made a point of emphasis and very clear in our report as a committee. If I turn to the IEC, and I'm almost done, is that we commend their clean audit. We always wonder about these clean audits because they also have to do with what people have planned, but it is very good to receive a clean audit for the 2024 elections under the new system. And so we're very happy about that. The only thing, Chair, that we want emphasis on is the idea of civic education. I don't think we can carry on with half-baked ideas around how the IEC intends to be smart, to be agile, and to be relevant in terms of how they roll out civic education, so that all of our citizens who are eligible to vote honestly can come out and turn out the vote, irrespective of how they feel. But the profundity of their vote really must be captured. And finally, Chair, GPW, even when we receive these reports, we are not convinced, Chair, particularly because we've done the work, we've been on the ground, we've sat with them, and there's no question that GPW remains in serious crisis with all of these high vacancies, equipment that's not working, billions that are surrendered, surpluses, and yet we outsource so much printing at extra costs. And the State Security Printers Bill really must come to Parliament now, Chair, because GPW must retain earnings to rebuild its capacity and outstanding audits. We must close this once and for all, Chair. And our message is really simple, Chair, that we cannot continue. And I know that the budget is in crisis and we are in free fall really as a country currently when it comes to budgets. But I think that our report as this particular committee must stress the importance of putting our citizens first, making sure that our security is prioritized, and that all of the agencies that fall under Home Affairs are accountable, and that we uphold accountability in their stead, and that we're not going to be apologetic about the work that they've got to do. But the committee has done great work so far. And thank you to the team for the draft report. We look forward to the final ones with all of the comments from all of the members. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mohali.
Thank you very much, Chair. I just noted if Adam maybe can scroll to the section that deals with the IEC. I think it's number 3 on the report. I just have a problem with the wording there of that sentence. If maybe they can rework it. Number 3. If you can scroll up. Yeah, where it says the IEC successfully managed the complex 2024 national and provincial elections. I don't think we are at a stage where we can make such a call, especially since we are yet to engage on the 2024 elections report. So I don't think we can say the IEC managed a successful, ran a successful elections. I don't think I agree with that wording. So we might need to rework that particular sentence. And also on the recommendations dealing with the IEC, I don't see we raise an issue regarding the failure of the IEC to register new voters in their numbers, particularly taking into consideration that we have over 10 million people in South Africa who are eligible to vote but are not registered to vote. So the failure of the IEC in that regard is very glaring, and it's something that we raised as a committee, and I think it should also be reflected in the report as a concern by the committee. So the IEC is failing in that regard, and there needs to be an improvement. And also on the issue of the BMA, I agree. The issue of the inadequate funding is well captured. And also the one of the Treasury, because we're supposed to have received the answers with the reason why Treasury did not provide adequate funding that was requested by the BMA. And following on that is the issue of the lifestyle audits that the BMA indicated that going forward they will not be able to conduct lifestyle audits. And I think the committee, we expressed ourselves on that issue. It's a serious issue that I think should also be captured in the report. So those are just the few issues that I just wanted to highlight. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Ngubane.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chair. I think it's one of those luckiest things to speak after other two critical speakers have spoken. Most of the things, Chair, that I wanted to raise, they've raised. But I think the report, it tries, Chair, to mild it down, the failure of the Department of Home Affairs to address the corruption that is happening. People getting married left, right, and center. The failure of or trying to cap the unauthorized offices that are happening. We saw, Chair, the offices that are mushrooming everywhere in the country, in KZN everywhere, where people have offices of Home Affairs, where they're making a huge killing. And Home Affairs has no solution for all those things. There are even people whom at the age of 35, Chair, are at the age of 35, imagine you're starting to get your ID. So the report hasn't spoken loudly about those failures of Home Affairs, the failure of digitization of the Home Affairs. There is this pipe dream that is being galvanized of the gains of the digitization and modernization, which is a good thing that needs to be fulfilled by the Home Affairs. But it's neither here nor there. It hasn't been fulfilled, and we don't know where it is in terms of the project plan and the project timeline, what has been digitized, what has been not digitized, the modernization project, where it is, where it has had achievement, where it has had its failures. We know, Chair, that there is even people with the utilization of some little element of trying to modernize, where you're saying that people must start to apply for visas at home. And because of the cybersecurity threat, people are using that opportunistic of corruption. We've had complaints, Chair, about one family, a husband and a wife, where a husband want to take the child to overseas. And then those systems of digitalization are loopholes. But we don't hear that in the report. And there is a lot of strings, Chair, of the shortcomings and the failures of the Home Affairs that is happening in the country. Remember, Chair, the report needs to highlight in bold that Home Affairs is the entry point of all the ills that are happening in the country. Because number one, we have no borders. Borders are only on the road. So the report must speak to that Home Affairs is the primary. You find things that needs to be solved in higher education, that needs to be solved by police, that needs to be solved by tourism in the catering, all those things that are inside the country as ills. Home Affairs is the point of entry for all those things. And the report needs to speak about that. That in its own highlight as well, the BMA shortcomings, and the failure to fund the BMA is just the cause of what I've spoken about. So we see some of the presentation that were done by these entities or their APPs are all of them pipe dreams. It's wishes, wishful thinking, but in reality, it's all failures by the Home Affairs to protect the country, to protect the citizens of the country, to prioritize South Africans more than it should prioritize foreigners. The issue of dual citizenship, the report does not speak to the shortcomings of it that we highlighted when we were speaking about it, of a risk of someone who stays in London who will come and be the president in this country because there is some element of negligence in this dual citizenship. All those things are not highlighted in a report. So we see all those shortcomings, Chair. It needs to come out from the report that there is this hula baloo of excitement about the digitization that is non-existent and there's no resolve on it. And coming to GPW, Chair, it's worse. At least they've started now to advertise, to go out on advert for their ERP. At least that has happened recently. So at least they're going in the right direction. But other than that, even the GPWP is nowhere. It loses contract left, right, and center of printing. Government printing is going out, SEPS is going out to private sector providers. So all those things, Chair, needs to come out on the failures of these Home Affairs state-owned entities to protect the South African people primarily before it starts to be excited about dual citizenships and giving everyone else access to the country and allowing people of outside South Africa to work in the country and all those things. Before we start to get excited about those things, the primary focus of Home Affairs is to protect South Africans, fulfill the commitment of being in South Africa for its citizenship, but Home Affairs dismally has failed it. So those things need to come out, Chair, in the report. And I apologize, Chair, if I've repeated what other two previous speakers have said. As I said before, it's a disadvantage of speaking after other speakers have spoken because they've addressed most of the things that we spoke about in the APPs of these entities and in the previous engagement with Home Affairs. The contract, if you can see the honorable, the government Home Affairs guy who heads the ICT temporarily, he shows how bad it is. SETA is failing on most of its ICT contract. There's no SLA penalties on that. There's nothing. Systems are down in Home Affairs. They implement systems that they are not working. They've implemented all Home Affairs department that we've visited complain about the system that was implemented in December is always down. It's always down. So all those things and SLAs, there's no penalties on those service providers. And it's more, Chair, that Home Affairs has failed the South African citizenship. The report needs to come out loud on those things, that the country is being failed dismally by Home Affairs. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chabane.
No, thanks, Chair. Apologies for struggling with the network. There are a few issues which I want to comment on, Chair, and I agree with the other speakers on other areas that have raised. I think the attitude of the committee should be that we conduct oversight and the ministry or the department or the institutions that the portfolio they are hosting account to Parliament. And there are some of the recommendations that we have raised as a collective that have been taken into and adhered to with the limitation of the budget. And I think that foundation of work, we must also take responsibility as the committee. And I think all of us will agree that there are shortcomings over time, but the progress that has been made in that front of this institution, it may not necessarily all 120% failures that demonstrate our work and also the department. And I think we must apportion that credit to yourselves as members of the portfolio committee. The issue of the IEC, I want to first start with that, Chair. I think Honorable Mokhale is correct that we have not dealt with the IEC report. The statement or the articulation there should indicate clearly that we have not dealt with the IEC provincial and national 2024 elections. And I don't know why the report says that there was a complex issues around that. We have not dealt with that report because there are critical issues that members of the committee or stakeholders have raised around that issue. So we must indicate that the committee still have to deal with this report, including planning forward on the local government election. So the entire sentence is absolutely wrong, does not reflect our collective articulation. The issue of the corruption at the Home Affairs, we know that the multidisciplinary team that was appointed, it has exposed, in fact, what we see daily when people are arrested is a collective work of the law enforcement agencies. It does not, if there was no work done by the Home Affairs, there's not going to be any exposure of this marriage, fraudulent marriages, ID procurement at home, and so forth and so on. It's a demonstration of the work at hand. And I think we went to Home Affairs ourselves to conduct oversight. We went to the unit there IT unit that has been established, very impressive tracking a unit. And I think all of us, we commended in its work. The issue which we've raised, all of us, is a budget allocation to enhance staff capacity and other tools that are needed. So I wanted also to raise also that point that all of us, we know. The white paper, I think, is one important document that at least this committee, we've made sure that there was a review of the target date that will deal with citizenship, migration, and the protection of refugees. That will also give us an opportunity to determine the issue of the citizenship and also the policies that are existing that are outside the current articulation of members. And I must raise that one of the issues that I think we must observe that is a growing tension amongst people around undocumented foreign nationals. And I think the committee must come clear that this is a concerning matter that you see every time there strikes, our citizens are complaining about undocumented foreign nationals and so forth and so on. And this is a matter that we must also raise sharply, that is a growing concern, a time bomb concern that people will revoke around if we don't focus on these issues and also ground our policy jurisdiction. So that's a matter that we must also couple with the inspectorate, law enforcement inspectorate, that there's a low budget that has been apportioned for our inspector, immigration officers, capacity, and so forth and so on in relation to that, in relation to these other areas. And I think all of us will agree, I agree fully on the issue of the Border Management Authority underfunding. I think that that is underfunded. It ought to carry up the workload that has been done, Chairperson. The last, I think, which I fully also agree that we see the government printing works, the innovation that is being presented, but also we know ourselves that we've went to the ground and assessed our work, and the turnaround time in terms of the review does not demonstrate that which we've seen. But we must acknowledge two things: that there's at least there's a demonstrable turnaround time in terms of its financial position, and also the intervention of Dr. Lubisi, which this committee has raised that there must be an interim team that must look on this matter of the government printing work. This is a decision of the committee that there must be an extension of multidisciplinary team, and also hence the matter of Lubis that has been done. I think the last point, Chair, is on the issue of the downtime of services and the current infrastructure around our offices that is really a serious concern. I think all of us will go to different offices, crisis, people are, systems are not working, computers are not working, and a call for the committee that there must be an immediate revamp on all the institutions that are required. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Honorable Rose.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, apology for the background noise. There's people mowing the lawn outside at a heck of a rate. Just three things from my side, Chair. The first is the agreeing again with the funding. I think it's something that really needs urgent attention in terms of the specifically around borders and immigration management. But I think there's also there's other recommendations that we can make of things that can happen now. So if we look at 6.20, for example, of the recommendations. Okay. Okay, what happened here? It was the GPW recommendation. Oh, it's probably moved along.
Yeah.
It's 6.21. So my proposal would be just to be a bit stronger in terms of saying that we would recommend that the net profit is ring-fenced, at least for the next 3 years. It's something that we've spoken about as a committee for quite a while. The need to ring fence, and we can see how much money GPW is giving away, that makes it not able to really do the reforms that it needs to do. So I think it's just perhaps to be clear there that we say, because in the beginning we're saying that, where was it? It was talking about how they were unable to retain the ring fencing, but I think it's, to support that call that their profit, at least for the next 3 years, as they are requesting, be ring fenced. And then also in terms of the border management authorities, so we understand that they are hopelessly underfunded, but there's also the issue of the SAPS units, the SAPS border units that are supposed to be integrated into the BMA, and that still isn't happened. So those SAPS units will bring hundreds, if not thousands, of additional forces, as well as budget, into the BMA. So that's something that we also need there needs to be action on that, Chair, that all the other entities have integrated into the BMA except for the SAPS. And it's the largest number of forces as well as budget that will make a dramatic difference to the BMA. And then finally, Chair, I hear what Honourable Ngubane is saying. I would just like to just caution in terms of the dual citizenship. So that the court case there, it didn't bring in a new allowance for dual citizenship. South Africa has always allowed dual citizenship. The matter there was just whether the minister should be able to unilaterally sign a letter to accept or reject it. So there isn't a new regulation or anything like that. If we say they monitor the risks of the new regulations, there aren't regulations. It was a Constitutional Court judgment that basically said that when persons want another citizenship overseas, they don't have to get a retention letter. So it wouldn't be correct to say there's new regulations. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, can I come in?
Who is this? I did not note you. Can you identify yourself?
Mr. Ngubane.
You want to have a second opportunity?
Yes, sir. I want to correct something that keeps on happening and we keep ignoring. Hello, Chair?
Okay. Without creating any dialogue, Mr. Ngubane, you can have your minute.
Yeah, Chair, I think we were all responding to the report. And Chair, I don't want, we need to stop this thing of being the spokesperson of the department or of the minister. Like what Mr. Ross is saying now about telling us about what the dual citizenship mean. All what I've raised is it's a loophole and the weakness of the Home Affairs that puts the South Africa at risk of many things. I don't care whether there is a law or regulation or the constitution is weak or what. What I don't like, Chair, is when we all have raised our hand and said we're going to respond to the report, and there's somebody who responds to the report in answering one of the members as if he works for Home Affairs or he's a spokesperson of the minister. I think we need to correct that, Chair. I know that it's a DA minister that is in charge. Some other people are always tempted to pretend as if all of a sudden, because of their arrival, now Home Affairs is highly functional, everything is working, the digitization is working. I think we need to correct that, Chair, because it's been happening over and over. We get people responding to us instead of responding to the report or responding to the Home Affairs failures of our people. That's what I raised. I said the dual citizenship is a loophole, is weak, it exposes countries to many risks. Whether there is a law or there is whatever we're working on, no one must tell us as this committee what are they doing, except the Home Affairs and the Minister, which we know, what are they working on, which hasn't materialized yet. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Your point is sustained. Members Thank you very much for the comments that have been made. Mr. Matonsi, kindly flight the agenda for us so we can see what is the next item.
Sorry, Chairperson.
Mr. Rose, I'm not going to allow you because you and Mr. Ngubane are going to turn this meeting into some sort of a debate. And indeed, we were all had an opportunity just to respond to the presentation that Mr. Salmon has made to the committee. If there are further engagements that members want to make, probably you can make your written submission. But I am going to suppress your hand, Mr. Ross, because I'm avoiding to turn this meeting into some sort of a dialogue. Honorable Chabane, I'm not sure if I must hand over your meeting. It seems as if it's bigger than myself, so you can proceed to deal with these issues. But members, the next item on our agenda would be the consideration of the adoption of the outstanding minutes. Or is it item number 4? Are we going to item number 4 or number 5?
Chair, I think we have
Five now.
We have dealt with item number 4.
Number 4, we are on item number 5. Yes, members, I apologize for that. If you may allow me, we will then deal with the item number 5. Mr. Matonsi, you will then lead with this item. Thank you very much.
Acting Chair, sorry, before Eddie comes in, if I can just indicate that I've captured members' contributions and I will revise the report as advised and give it to members later today. And then we just need to decide when we're going to meet to adopt that. That still needs to be decided. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Salmon. Mr. Matons, you can proceed.
Yes, Chairperson. We do have, I think, about 7 sets of minutes that we need to go through today to adopt. This is the minutes of 6th of May, wherein the Parliament Legal Service, and the State Law Advisor briefed the committee on the Immigration Amendment Bill. Then the committee consideration and approval regarding the issue of the 22nd of April, where we discussed, on the 22nd of April, the committee received a briefing on the strat plan and annual performance plan of the department and the BMA. And then there were those issues that the committee raised and then were sent to the department. And then they also we consider and adopted a report, a government printing work report, the oversight report, and also the Lebombo border post report. And also there was a report on the issue of the status of Mr. Phil Craig, the Cape Independency, the issue of Ms. Pulelwa Toyana from Mtata, and also the issue of Mr. Stephen Dion Prince in PE. Those were the issues that were discussed, Chair, and then the people that were in the meeting, this Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matonsi. Members, here is a set of minutes. Any comments or additions?
There's a hand from Mr. Chabane.
Honorable Chabane?
No, thanks, Chair. I would request that we invite the Parliamentary Legal Service. You recall that you have taken a decision that will engage with them. I know that they've commissioned a brief opinion because it's a matter that has been raised by the committee. I would request that we, as part of the comment, we invite Parliamentary Legal Service to brief us on the formal opinion that we have raised it. But in relation to the report, I'm comfortable. Thanks, Chair.
Thanks, Chair. If I may get clarity from yourself, are you saying we must invite Parliamentary Legal Service now to make comments, or for a a future meeting that will be scheduled?
Yeah, I think in the official meeting, remember we've taken a decision that they must get an opinion on relation to the Phil Craig matter. So they've already made a draft summary on their opinion. So I request that we note it, and then we request that in the next or after the budget debates, we invite them to give us an opinion around this matter. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. That has been noted accordingly. Members, can I get a mover and a seconder on the adoption of the minutes?
Ngubeni moves, Chair.
Thanks, Ms. Ngubeni. Any seconder?
I second, Chair.
Thanks, Ms. Mtolo. The minutes have been adopted thereof. Can we get another set? I see there's a hand of Ms. Mtolo. Do you want to make a comment?
No, sorry, Chair.
Oh, thank you very much. Proceed,
Okay, Chair.
Mr. Matonsi.
Yes, these are the minutes of the 13th of May, where the content advisor briefed the committee on the criteria of the legal aid board when we're dealing with the immigration amendment bill, and then also on the issue of collaboration between the department and social development on undocumented foreign children and minors. That was one of the issues. Then the committee deliberated on the bill. Then the Department of Home Affairs, Counter-Corruption and Security Services, they also brief us on the work that they do within the department. And then they were also briefed by the Department of Home Affairs on the Constitutional Court judgment on citizenship. That's the dual citizenship that we spoke about during the report on the budget vote. And then also there was you will recall that we did receive two reports or letters from the Minister of Home Affairs on the issue of Mr. Phil Craig, Bulela Toyana, and Mr. Stephen Dion. That was like a follow-up on the issue of Mr. Toyana. That's all, Chair. Chairperson? Chairperson?
Hey, sorry, I'm struggling to unmute. I see a hand of Ms. Mati and Mr. Mohale. In that order?
Yes, I'm raising my hand to move with the minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Mohale.
Can I go, Chair?
Mr. Mohale, yes. I'm giving you an opportunity.
It started.
Mr. Mohale, do you still want to, are you seconding or are you making a comment?
Can I proceed? Yes, I wanted to make a comment, Chairperson.
Proceed. We have noted the move from Mr. Mati. Yes, proceed. Proceed, Mr. Mohale.
I think probably, Chair, I think maybe he's having difficulties.
Chairperson?
I can hear you, Mr. Mohale. Can you hear us?
Oh, okay. No, Chair, I just wanted to highlight that also, because I see on this set of minutes, we also had requested a report on that Constitutional Court judgment on the issue of citizenship. So I think when the Parliamentary Legal Services comes to the committee, they should also prepare that particular briefing. I just wanted to highlight that. Thank you, Chair.
Noted, Mr. Mohale. Any seconder? Mr. Makti has already moved for adoption of the minutes. Mr. Ngubane?
Yeah, I raise to second the minute, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Noted with those comments, Mr. Mokhali, the minutes are therefore adopted accordingly. Mr. Matonsi?
Yes, sir. Just we have a meeting of the 27th May. That was further deliberation on the Immigration Amendment Bill. Then we also conducted public hearings on the one-stop border post. And then there was an update on the Northwest public hearings on the marriage bill.
Thank you, members. Any comments or a mover in a second? Members, am I audible?
Yes, we can
Chair,
hear
I
you, Chair.
move for the secondment of the minute.
I move for the proposal to adopt.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ngubane and Ms. Maki. The minutes are therefore adopted accordingly. Can we have the fourth set of the minutes?
Okay, just hold on. Okay. Oh, no, so I'm sorry, I opened the wrongs.
Ms. Martin, please mute.
Thank you.
And then we do have 3 June. It was the deliberation on the immigration bill. And then we also adopted the outstanding minutes. Those are the people. Chair, I'm done, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matonsi. Members, here are the minutes presented. Can we get any comments? A mover in a second.
I will move, Chairperson Ngobeni.
Thank you, Mr. Ngobeni.
Seconded. Seconded, ma'am.
Thank you very much,
Seconded,
Ms. Maki.
Chairperson.
Thank you, members. Our
Okay.
minutes are therefore adopted accordingly. Can we get our fifth set of minutes?
Okay. Then 10 June. Then here the Office of the State Law Advisor, briefing by the State Law Advisor on the proposed list of amendments to the Immigration Amendment Bill, consideration adoption of the motion of desirability of the one-stop border post, and then we also adopted outstanding minutes, and then update on the Northwest public hearing.
Thank you, members. Here are the minutes. Any comments? Any mover?
Yes, Chairperson.
Chair, I move for the adoption of the minute.
I second.
Thank you, Mr. Ngubane. Thank you, Ms. Maki. Our minutes have therefore been adopted accordingly. The second last set, Mr. Matonsi.
Okay. 17 June. Okay. The department briefed the committee on the revised strat plan, annual performance plan, including the BMA, But then we also receive briefing on the ICT projects. Yeah, that's that. I think that's the agenda item that we respond as well to the 24th.
Thank you, Mr. Matonsi. Any mover and a seconder?
I move to adopt. Chairperson, I move to adopt the minutes of the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Motapo. A seconder?
I second.
Thank you, Ms. Ndolo. The minutes have therefore been adopted accordingly. The last minutes, Mr. Matonsi.
Yes, I think I did not open that. Let me just quickly open, Chair. So that way. Chair is taking time. Okay, I'm trying to. I think that was all, Chairperson. If I check, that was all.
Thank you very much, Mr. Matonsi, and thank you, members, for your participation in this the adopting of the minutes process. We will then move to item number 6. Mr. Matonsi, I think you will still take us through regarding the public hearings that are upcoming.
Yes, Chairperson. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll just.
yes.
Yes. Yeah, Chairperson. Yeah, this will be the public hearings that will be taking place in the Free State. The days that we have identified is the 25th and until the 27th of July. Then the district that we look at is the Mangaung Metropolitan Municipality, which will take place in Bloemfontein. And then the other issues of the languages there, I will not talk to them, but those are the districts. And then that will be on the 25th of July. Then they will also do 26th of July, Lichwe Putswa, district municipality. Then we focus at Velkom. And then the other one, it will be Thabo Motse district municipality. We will focus at Bethlehem. I've done some notes here at the bottom that members will be flying from wherever they are to Bloemfontein on the 24th. When I check on the parliamentary program on that 24th, there's nothing in the National Assembly unless if they schedule something. Now there's nothing at the moment. Then we'll do a public hearing on the 25th. And then we from the Bloemfontein, then after the public hearing, then we'll have to drive 1 hour 36 minutes, which is 154 minutes to Velkom, and we'll sleep there. And then there will be public hearing on the 26th in Velkom. And then after the public hearing, then we'll drive 1 hour 57, which is like about 2 hours to Bethlehem. And then we'll have the public hearing on the 27th of July there in Bethlehem. Then the proposal is that because it looks like the distance from Bethlehem to back to Bloemfontein and the distance from Bloemfontein, from Bethlehem to Johannesburg, they are more or less the same. So we're suggesting that no members will sleep, and then on the 28th of July, we all drive to OR Tambo International Airport. Those that are flying, then they will fly out. It's about 2 hours, 46 minutes, and then it's 268 kilometers. Then the next province is Northern Cape. This will be during recess. We're looking at the 4th until the 7th. I'm sorry. The year is the 7th of August. Yes. Then members. Then we look at the districts there in the Northern Cape. We look at Francis Bart District Municipality, then that is in Kimberley. So Plaki Local Municipality, we conduct public hearings there on the 4th, and then on the 5th, we conduct public hearing on the 5th in Kurumani, in Joe Taule Haitsweu, a district municipality in Kurumani. Then we conduct public hearings there. Thereafter, you realize that no, we don't have anything on the 6th because we're thinking that no, on the 6th, and then it will be a traveling day to Uppington. So I'll just go through the notes here and then we all fly to Kimberley on the 3rd and sleep there. There will be public hearing on the 4th. And then after the hearing, we drive 2 hours, 39 minutes, which is 239 kilometers to Kuruman and sleep there. There will be public hearing on the 5th in Kuruman. And after the hearing, the committee will sleep in Kuruman. In other words, we'll spend 2 nights in Kuruman. And then on the 6th of August, the committee will drive to Uppington for 2 hours and 44 minutes. So in other words, the 6th will be a traveling day. And then we have public hearings in Kuruman on the 7th of August. And then after the hearings, it will depend if we're going to get the flights flying from Uppington to either Johannesburg or Cape Town. And then also, even though this is not part of it now, then there's a proposal also from the chairperson that probably after the public hearings in the Western Cape and the Pompo, maybe we should also target structures that deals with religious leaders and then traditional leaders and the LGBTQIA+, in terms of focusing on this national structures in a physical meeting. Probably we spend 1 day with the religious leaders, and then we spend 1 day with the traditional leaders, and then we spend 1 day with the LGBTQIA+. Could be in Johannesburg or any other place. So this will be after the public hearing has been done, so that we target all these national structures. That's all, Chairperson. Over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Matonsi. Members, here's a presentation of the upcoming public hearings. Can I get an indication if there are any comments that members want to make?
Mr. Chabani's hand is up, Chair.
Honorable Chabani, I see your hand, and I'm officially handing over back your meeting. Thank you very much.
No, thanks very much, Honorable Mudisa, and thanks for assisting your intervention. There are 3 issues I want to raise. One, that at least our public hearings must be balanced between urban and rural, and I hope the team has looked on all the issues. In other words, conducting the public hearings in a rural area and also in an urban area. And I think that is the submissions that we need to deal with that. It has came out in our conversation with some of the media community, to what extent we go to a rural area, not in a location, and the percentage around that, so that we stretch out everyone who's interested. The second one, members must know that we're left with four or three public hearings to conduct in provinces. I see here there's I want to ask the team that this should be the last weekend conducting public hearings as per the schedule. Recall that we have agreed that we'll do weekends and also during the week. And I think we have flexibility. We may need to reconsider to the other left provinces to do the what you call during the week a conversation with our people. The last one is on the which I think members will have observed throughout our public hearings that there's a strong need that we may need to consider to apply to the COC, at least to have a conversation with the clergy, the traditional authority, in the manner that has been cited on the presentation, so that we also get all the issues that members or stakeholders need to deal with that. So those are my recommendation that I wanted to put across on the issues that have been raised. Thank you. Can I invite hands? I see the hands of Honorable Mokhale.
Thank you, Chair. Just clarity, Chairperson. Remember when we were in the Northwest, I think it was the Speaker or the Chief Whip of the legislature who indicated that they would like one of the regions, which is bordering what you call the Free State, to also be invited when we do the what do you call the hearings in the Free State. I think it was that region of Dr. Kaunda. Yes, it was the Dr. Kaunda region, which they felt we should have also included it in our schedule in the Northwest. So I don't know how we're going to go around that one, Chair. Secondly, the stakeholder engagements with the traditional leaders and other stakeholders. How is that going to be conducted? Are we going to invite various traditional groups or leaders from different provinces and convene them in Gauteng? What is the format? How are we going to conduct those specific engagements with those stakeholders? So I think some clarity in that regard will be appreciated. Thank you, Chair.
Further comments, members? Okay.
Thank you, Chairperson. No, Chairperson, mine, I would like to find out whether we are still going to fulfill the promise pertaining the Zululand, where the principals of the municipalities, both the locals and districts, they were said they were not aware. We just want to find out as we are about to round off now. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Mokhale, Honorable Machi. The stakeholders, I think, will do national structures. It will depend on them how they invite provincial, but will also, in our correspondence, we can request them to invite structures, because at least there's a benefit which already were grounded through our public hearings, that the clergy attend and the other community attend and other stakeholders. So I think the thinking on the process is that we invite national structures and have a central venue to deal with that, which obviously to be in Gauteng for easy of travel. And secondly, I think the Speaker of Northwest was raising it that they even have capacity to can transport interested stakeholders on the bordering lines, which is it was a fair request or comments, which we may need to look on how, because you remember in a province, we only have 3 districts given the limitation of the resources. So where there's an opportunity to cross border, we may need to involve the stakeholder. I think the team may need to look at it around that. The third one of the Honorable Machi is that I think Mr. Matonsi, we must open up a discussion with the NCOP. We know that they're going to engage on the public hearings, obviously, on the subject matter one is has been tabled to NCOP. You may need to consider that we have a session with the NCOP on the areas that there were extensive motivation that they still need more to interface with the committee. In Zululand, you will recall that the matter has been raised, and also in here in Mpumalanga, next to it's in Witbank. The last public hearings we have, there's a strong traditional area there, which they also raised the same matter. So we may need to see how we function that that conversation with the committee of the NCOP, but also will also take the opportunity in this national structure engagement with religious leadership or traditional leadership also to invite them. That I think it can assist. But let's work on the recommendation of members of the committee and see how we can close up the gaps. Is there any other matter?
Chairperson, before Mr. Mkhale, I think if it's not his legacy, I just wanted also to indicate that this bill is section 76, which means is that well, once it goes to the NCOP is going to refer this to the provinces. So the provinces will also have to do their own public consultation. So for instance, on the issue of Dr. Kaunda and Ulundi and probably maybe other areas, then the legislatures, they might have to maybe prioritize those areas where we were not able to do them. That's what I wanted to indicate, Chair.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Mkhale and Honorable Machi.
Yes, Chairperson, I just wanted to maybe propose, Chair, that instead of the Dihlabeng, I know the Dihlabeng falls under Thabo Mofutsanyan in the Free State. Can't we take the meeting to Kwakwa, which is more of a traditional community compared to Dihlabeng, which is more of a township kind of a setup. So I would propose that we take it to Kwakwa instead of Dihlabeng.
Okay, noted.
It's part of the same municipality. It's part of the same municipality.
Okay. Noted. Let's deal with the issues. Honorable Machi.
Thank you. Thank you. That was the legacy, and I've down it down. Thank you.
All right. Thanks. I think let's note the comments, members, and we meet with the education team, Mr. Matonzi, and also your issue on the section 76, which the province are going to engage. I think it come handy. The matter can still be dealt with around that space. I think the framework has been clear on the issues. Thanks, members. The last matter which we must agree on, we need an hour to adopt the report. Today is Tuesday. Can I check when will we finish with the report, Mr. Salman, so that I propose a date and time?
Chair, you can give me 2 hours and I'll send it out to members.
Okay. Members, we propose that we adopt the report on Thursday at 1 o'clock. Well, I give time for you to wrap up the issues.
Yeah, hello.
I
think that's a very strong and correct suggestion, Chair. I support it. Yeah.
Okay, Honorable Machi.
Thank you, Chairperson. I would like to request that the Adam should not send the report in the midnight. The report should reach us during the day, maybe before the following the day when we'll be detecting the report. This one we received it came out very late after 10. Just a
Okay. Noted. Honorable Mudisemte.
Thank you very much, Chair. I want to suggest that kindly we do it at 12 p.m. because at 2 o'clock we must be seated in mini plenaries physically.
Oh, yeah.
So I suggest you move the time from 1 p.m. rather to 12 so that we can have ample time to travel to the venues. Thank you.
Okay. Noted. Honorable Rose.
Yeah, Chair, thank you. I was covered by Honorable Modise. Just it could be a little bit earlier on that day. 12 o'clock's fine.
Okay. Members, Mr. Salmon, I also noted that your report it came very late. Let's try to send it early, but tomorrow at least all of us have enough day to deal with. We meet Thursday, 12 o'clock for an hour to consider the report and issues that may not be captured properly. I will also meet with the team to, once Adams has finished, Mr. Salmon has finalized the report, to check if there are issues that, and also the notes that we have not covered ground. Thanks very much for attending, members.
Chair, before you close the meeting.
Mr. Matonsi?
Yes, yeah, is that I'm understanding that now with this program, we're adopting it, and then we'll look at the possibility of having what there instead of Bethlehem, then I'll circulate it to the education official for them to start their planning and also to make an application. Then the other thing, Chair, that I wanted to indicate, next week, the 8th, at 2 o'clock, there's a budget vote debate by the committee, but also in the morning, we're having a meeting of the committee. So I just wanted to check if the committee will still want to have that meeting wherein the deputy speaker will brief us on the Electoral Commission Amendment Bill, or whether we should move that to another date so that members are able to prepare for the debate at 2 o'clock.
No, let's move it to another date, Mr. Matonsi, so that members have enough time to proceed. We'll deal with that matter. We're now going to schedule the deputy speaker for that item. So we're not going to have a committee next week, Tuesday. Thank you. Is there any other matters, members?
Yes, Chair. Can I come in?
Yes, Honorable.
Oh, thank you very much, Chairperson. I just wanted, Chairperson, maybe to propose that at one of our upcoming meetings, perhaps we need to get a briefing from the department chair on how they implement the Section 29 of the Immigration Act. I think it's subsection 1D, how they implement it, because in the questions that I have submitted requesting clarity on this particular section, how the department implements it, I was not really happy with the response that I've received, Chair. So I would like that the committee also gets a report from the department in detail in terms of how the V list is compiled and whether we have a list of people and organizations which are banned from entering South Africa, organizations which are advancing racist policies and so on, who are banned to enter this country, whether we have something like that here in South Africa. So I would propose, Chair, with your permission, that maybe we get a briefing or a report from the department with regards to this specific piece of legislation and how the department implements it practically at our ports of entry. Thank you, Chair.
Noted, Mr. Machi. Sorry, Honorable Machi. Okay, so legacy end. Members, thanks very much. We've noted all the issues. We'll then have to deal with them at MENCO to see how we must schedule them in our calendar of engagement on the portfolio committee meeting. Thanks very much, members, for your contributions. The meeting stand adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank you.